Right then, folks, welcome back to an episode of Extra Chat. I didn't know what to call it. Like, there wasn't a name for it last episode. It was just a podcasty episode, but we now know it is Extra Chat. Glory Hunter Extra Chat with me, Ben. Good to see you. And we really enjoyed this last episode that we did of these. And I wasn't going to do them nearly as frequently as this, but after the response to the first one, I thought, let's do another one. And the Schalke game was really perfectly placed. We play Wolfsburg after this in a game that I'm not too bothered about. Same for Werder Bremen, same for Hanover. I'm not sure those three videos will make an actual video, whereas the Schalke game absolutely will. And there's a winter break in between, not winter break, sorry, international break between Hanover, I think, and April and Hoffenheim. So that's why I figure it's a good time to bring you this one game, and it will be, of course, 3 games back to back. You've hopefully seen the last episode. Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen both beaten, looking pretty good. And now the game against Schalke means a lot more than I ever thought it would, really. Schalke in third position. I've actually got the best of Dortmund right now, who do play tonight. So we'll see if Dortmund can do that, and they have to win, really, as we're continuing really straight on from last episode. So if you've watched last episode, perfect, you're up to date. There's definitely some things we want to talk about as we go through this, of course, again, podcast style, talking through some of my thoughts on certain things, and basically replying to some of the comments, not directly, but generally, because the comments recently have been interesting, lots of tactical chat, and I think these episodes have sort of forced that a bit. People thinking, he does think about it, maybe if I could help then, I'll leave some comments or feedback. So let's just see what Dortmund do here. This is the first bit of big news, really. If they don't win, that's obviously good news. A draw is fine, a loss is fantastic as we come through here. We haven't played yet, brilliant. Here we go. Gruthfirth. I don't know the place, so it's hard to say the name of the team because I've never heard of the place before. Dortmund win though, Matthias with their goal, and then you've got Wolfsburg and Bremen facing off against one another, and those two teams draw. Yeah, good. I mean, it's a very, very mid-table sides that I'm expecting to beat, although it might prove to be a bit of an issue. It's definitely a top 4 right now with Hertha Berlin, enemy of the people, Hertha Berlin just below it, and then we sit top of it after 23 games, and not that many left to go really. Only 11 games left to go. We're in the driving seat as things stand, and beating Schalke will go a long way to helping that, really, as you see there, them in 4th place. If they beat me, and Dortmund and Bayern draw at some point later in the future, that creates a lot of tension at the top of the table. I said I want to talk about a few things, and really it's to do with how we create chances and the goals that we score, and really where all of our moves come from. And you're not going to be surprised to know it's going to be quite a fullback-centric episode today, where we're going to talk about just the impact they have and showing you the impact they have, rather than just talk about it and hearing me in episodes go, fullbacks are so important. I want to show you why I think they're so important and why they are the heartbeat of any diamond system, especially that we play. Interestingly, when we played the system at Inter before, the 3 at the back, of course, with the 2 wing backs, they're really important in that as well, and it's not too dissimilar from that. You sort of have a half diamond. Of course, when you play that, it's more of a cross, isn't it? Because you have the attacking midfielder behind 2 strikers, and then you have the 2 central midfielders with those wing backs bombing up and down. And our team in this team works pretty much the same as that, and we're risking it really by playing those 2 at the back and then having a deep line playmaker sat in front. That is one area where I wonder if we're a little bit vulnerable. And it's, again, moving forward to next season, of course, now we've not won the German Cup. The German Cup. And last time we did one of these episodes, the German Cup was so lovely, wasn't it? We knew what was happening with that. We felt like we were going to go through. We went through in dramatic fashion, and then Borussia Dortmund, away at Dortmund, ruined it for me. I kind of think fair enough. I just don't think our team is the more I see it, the more I realise that in certain areas we're just not as good as them. And like you look at the forwards line that Dortmund have got, that guy in particular is insane. I forget his name. It's a complicated name because he's top goal scorer in the league. This guy, Obrenovic. I've just sort of I went for speed there, viewers, and hoped it worked. He's just so good. I can't imagine having a player like that in my team right now. That would be useful, really, really useful, as Pavard has picked up a little bit of an injury. That's French news, if anything, rather than it being German related. So with Schalke coming up, we'll talk about what's going on with the fullbacks, and look, it all sort of stems, this conversation, really, from me looking at Xavier Cabaye and thinking, is he producing what I expect a player of his value and his calibre to produce for me? And I've kind of concluded that no, probably not, and that's quite frustrating. We'll take a look at it now, actually. Why not? We're here already. So Xavier Cabaye, 22 years of age, 5'8", and the perfect sort of playmaker, you would think, right? It reminds me of some of the old playmakers you get sort of back in the day on FM that would be good like this at the start of the game, talking like the likes of David Silva, that sort of player, when they were really, really good in those early years. And he's got all of that. Like, the physical attributes are there for me. Again, I'm not expecting to be good at heading, so the jumping reach is by the by. And these mentals for a 22-year-old are really, really good. Passing's great. First touch is very good. Dribbling's great too. And for 73 million, admittedly paid over a different time period, 23 games, 4 goals, 4 assists. And you see what he did for Wolfsburg. Of course, we're in the same division. He's got 10 games to try and improve on those stats. And you look at the average rating for him, he's a little bit down on what he was performing for them season in or season out. So we need to see a little bit more. Even in that first year at Wolfsburg, he really settled in a lot quicker. System-wise, I don't know if they're still playing what they're playing today, but if he was the lone striker, that suggests he's on the ball a lot more with a lot more to do. And again, that might be where a lot of the goals are scored for a team like Wolfsburg. Obviously, I don't know if that changed before he came to me, but look, looking at the way we play, and we'll continue one more time before we look at it, he's not the focal point of where we create our goals from, and that's potentially why he's got less assists, but I thought he'd just have bigger impact. I thought that wouldn't matter necessarily. And I knew that I was going to build upon wing-backs. I knew the wing-backs I had were really good, so I wanted to get the best out of those two boys. And then here we are. Then let's take a look at the squad for it. And of course, the players that we're talking about. Oh no, I've got to say his name, viewers. I hate this. I hate it. Well, this is great. We're talking about these wing-backs, and this is sort of why we're highlighting it. Werner, it's Fliesener, like that, isn't it? It's Fliesener. It must be that. Fliesener. No, Fliesener. Sure. Anyway. He's been a revelation for us this year. 7 assists, 5 goals. If you take a look at the squad view overall, the assists, Maffeo with 9 and Werner, I'm just going to call him Werner for today, with 9 as well. So those two boys are absolutely dominant when it comes to getting assists for us. And no one's even close. Like we mentioned, Cabai, the main midfield outlet, only with 4. The rest of the midfield, 2 apiece. And then Marcus Paulo, who's been here barely at all, has already got himself 2 assists, playing in that right-back role or that left-back role. Of course, we had to use him there at one point. We could use him there. See, that's interesting, actually. We could use him there today ahead of Andy Robertson, but I like the left-sided balance of it. Like, if he gets torn apart in the first 20 minutes or first half even, we'll maybe take him out and bring Marcus Paulo under there. I realise it's a little bit Marco Polo in it, having Marcus Paulo. Anyway, regardless, so that is clearly where our goals, our assists at least, are coming from, and that is backed up. If you go into the analysis, I went American there for no reason. The analysis screen for goals, you can see from the assist locations. Then, if we go to the last sort of 25 matches or so, 25 matches, 20 matches, you can see lots of our assists. And ordinarily, right, build-up play through the centre of the pitch, you'd expect. But when you compare that to what teams are doing against us, only 2 assists from one side, 5 from the other. Whereas I'm using my hand when I've got a mouse. 9 and 7 from either side. We are certainly dominant in that area. And goal assists, you can see crossing for us, 12 assists. It's massively more than any other type of goal that we score. Of course, corners as well, 4 from corners, so that's not too bad. And clear-cut chances, we're having far more than opposition teams that we're playing against. Of course, being top of the league, you would kind of expect that, right? But goal types as well, getting the ball into the centre of the pitch is clearly what we're doing. Getting it into that penalty area. The kind of forwards we don't have deep line forwards. We don't have goals coming from midfield all too often. I mentioned assists a moment ago. You take a look at the goals we've scored. Like, it's a bit strange considering I've got a fullback who's got 6 of them. He's taking free kicks, so look, that's maybe part of it. But strikers, Diallo and Hugo, in the amount of games that they've played, Diallo's clearly got the best goals per game ratio. If you look at this per 90 minutes, this is always a better way of looking at it, maybe. Diallo's got the most, then Victor Hugo. Both 20 years of age, though. Like, the fact that we're going to be here another year is actually quite exciting. Some of these players, you look at maybe those top 5 players there, all under the age of 23, that's going to be exciting. Who have I just clicked there, It's getting very confused. There we are. Change that back round. So we know where that's coming from, and chances created over the course of a game. Again, we can see there that Cabai isn't even in the top 4, and again, 3 of them are fullbacks, one of which has been there only a little bit, and that sort of plays into it again. Assists per 90 minutes again. I just expected a bit more for my money, and it's making me wonder that going into next season, do we change the system? And if we do change the system, how do we change the system to get the best out of Cabai? Because these fullbacks are clearly very effective at doing what they're doing, and can we improve upon them? In terms of what they're giving, I don't actually know if we can. Maffeo's got 4 goals this year. We've got Werner on the other side with 6. It's difficult to know what we're going to do, and I'm already thinking about it because I know I'm going to be here next year. I know I'm going for the German Cup. Of course, we're going to have European competition next year as well, and hopefully we're not going for the title. Hopefully we can get it this season. But it's going to be interesting how we use Cabai. Do we maybe use him in a different position entirely? Do we switch up what we're doing up front? Do we maybe put him on a left-hand side as an advanced playmaker? I like playing sort of offset central players now and again. Could Cabai maybe be the sort of player to do that? Left-footed, maybe cutting him from that side, having the overlap of someone right behind him? I don't know. And for the amount of money that we've spent, of course, we're going to have to try and get him in again next season and do something with him. The other problem we've got today is that Victor Hugo not fit to play for this one. So it's between Fusanishi Masayuki or we've got Brown, who, this is the problem. Ordinarily, Brown would be the starter. He doesn't get on with Kabai for whatever reason. And of course, last episode we played, in fact, Fukunishi Masayuki played next to Diallo. I had a question recently. Why is the morale not so good amongst the players on the bench compared to the players that start every game? I've kind of giving you the information. They're not starting every game, so they're a little bit miffed, a little bit peeved. And also, fitness-wise, people make it a point all the time, I don't really rotate. And that comes down to me, to the things like the team report. You look at the assistant report that we've got here. The weaknesses, there are 7 weaknesses in this side, which I thought was quite a few, until I realised just how many strengths that we have in this side. And there are an awful lot. And I thought the weaknesses actually were quite interesting. That one of the big weaknesses we've got is the overall depth. There's not a great deal of quality depth outside of the first team amongst players currently at the club. That stems from the under-23s to the under-19s to the first team as well. Goalkeeping seems to be a bit of an issue. That's highlighted there for us. Lacking good throws, long throws, which is not really an issue for me if I'm being completely honest. And jumping reach, again, not that good. But things that I can overlook when you just see some of the positives here are really, really nice. Like the teamwork of the players, they work hard for each other. There's a strong ethic in the squad in terms of work rate. That's what I like. Free kick taking, we're really good at. Smart squad, making good decisions. Partnerships developing all over with Friese and Amarillo in the centre, 2 key players for this team. Friese will be missing today as well. In a big game, this is quite frustrating. Another big plus point as well, loads of money left to spend on the wage budget. So if we do have to go out and improve at some point, and you'll note that we didn't spend really any money in January, a little bit here and there, but nothing too major, we can definitely invest next year. There's going to be money coming in. You look at some things like the debts and the loans of the club. There's a big debt there that is going to be paid off, not necessarily in massive amounts, like 500k a month for a team like this isn't even that bad really. And the sponsorships coming in every single year, again, absolutely massive. So we're going to be fine financially. Next year, we're definitely going to have money to invest again if we finish well in Germany. Actually, I think it shows you how much money in the rules, how much money you get for finishing where. Yeah, the money in Germany for finishing like in certain places is fantastic. Say we win the league next year. Obviously, the Champions League's not something we want. I'd be fascinated to see how far we could go in it, but then it's, again, you're playing the balancing game with Glory Hunter of wanting to focus on things that you need and wanting to focus on things that you think the squad are capable of. It's a bit of a battle. But you look at that, we're going to have 74 million come purely from where we finish next season. So that's going to be really, really good news. As long as we don't finish 4th and have to qualify through a group stage. Although, actually, if you lose that, maybe finishing 4th and then having Dortmund win the Europa League or something, that would be good. Although I don't know if that works out at all. In fact, I doubt it does. Right, without any further ado, a little bit of a chat, 12 minutes of chat there. Let's go into the game today then. We've talked through it a little bit already. Clement's going to be in goal and actually has done pretty good this year. I still think we need to improve. There's a young keeper at Ajax, actually. Okay, this is nice. I get to talk about the things that I've been sort of looking at. Of course, Kick Wolf came from Ajax as well. They've got another keeper here. So has he been? No, here he is. Sorry. Van der Werf. So he's a little bit like Wolf, but not quite. He's the keeper that I've got my eye on at the moment. Really good distribution and handling. Again, 23 years of age. Really, really solid. 6'6". He's got all the right attributes in all the right places, as I think the song said once, or very similar lyrics to that. Either footed as well. He's the guy that I'm earmarking really as the replacement for the 2 keepers we've got at the moment. I think he's the one that would be the biggest asset if we could get him. I guess that's the player on. So Philip van der Werf, he's going to be the guy that we go after in the future, I suspect. Of course, there may be other keepers that I find in my little search for goalkeepers. But yeah, Clement's doing a fine job for now, and hopefully you didn't hear me say all of that. Maffeo one side, Robertson the other. I'm allowing the fact his pace and acceleration aren't good because his crossing's very good, his passing's very good, his work rate, teamwork, they're all really good. So while he can't run, and it is an athletic position, and maybe we'll be found out for that in this game, I'm prepared to let it go because of what he offers me mentally. Like, I think what we might do for this game is playing a little bit more supportive in the role, so he's not asked to get up quite as much as he would be, as maybe Maffeo is, who's a little bit younger, but again, physically far superior. Only like 3 years difference, but yeah, so physically far better. Shelton, which, you know, even in the podcast episode, I'm going to say it a little louder. Murato will be next to him. Luis Ricardo, De Stefano and Amarillo will be in the centre. Kabai behind Diallo and Fukunishi Masayuki. De Stefano is an interesting player because he's actually very good, but he's just one of those sort of older players on a decent wage, worth quite a lot of money, and if in the summer someone's interested, I'll probably let him go. So yeah, good luck, Pete De Stefano. Yeah, he's called De Stefano. I love him just for that alone. Robertson, of course, and Masayuki, they're the players to look out for. Struggling a little bit for fitness, so will probably have to be rotated at some point. And the players on the bench that we can't play, of course, Werner, Friss, and Victor Hugo not available. So a little bit frustrating. As we go into this game then, coming up against Schalke, a good side, and of course they were a very good side when we played with Dortmund before. They've had a few players coming through. I think Burke's still there. Remember him from when we were first here. There's a press conference which I'm not going to do again. Someone actually left a comment. It's a good point. I'm fully aware that I can set like an assistant manager to do the press conferences. There's that sort of 5-10% of the time I want to do it. So if I don't get the option, I just figure it takes one click and then I move on. So it's fine. But yeah, I like the option of sometimes having to do them, and also I sort of like the idea of me saying to Jordan, sort of nodding, going, yeah, you handle this one, mate. And he does do. Pre-match tactical briefing as well. I let Jordan handle that every single time. And with the way the season's gone so far, I suspect he's doing a pretty good job at it. Right, here we go. Ever closer. It's weird doing video. One thing I'm not good at, really, is continually talking without leaving a gap, because I'm so naturally leaving a gap most of the time in the videos that when I do these, I'm just not. I feel like I'm looking at you a lot more today as well. I said in the last episode I wouldn't do that. I'd act like you weren't here, but I know that you're there. So yeah, it's one of those. Keep looking in your direction. I've got a cup of tea here that's going to go cold, so I'm just going to have a little bit of it. Retro Football Manager mug viewers. I don't think they're available anymore. You can get the new ones. I've mentioned it in videos about 4 or 5 times now. I don't know if we sent a new one. You'd think, wouldn't you? Oh. Hopefully someone at Sports Interactive sees this and decides to give me a care package of mugs. Although if Ellie finds out, she'd be fuming. We've got about 50 mugs downstairs. She comes upstairs, she goes, I can't fit your mugs in the cupboard. I'm like, okay. And that's close as we get to an argument, because I know she's very disappointed in me for hoarding, basically, different mugs. Hence you see so many different ones in the video. Or you probably see about 6 on rotation in the videos. I say that. I've got a Thames one, a Glory Hunter one, we've got a Football Manager one, and then a sort of a bevy of football-related mugs that she's just sick and tired of. Although she's got some very basic mugs that came in a set that I'm thinking, let's get rid of them. We don't need them, do we? Unless everyone wants the exact same mugs so they don't feel left out. Let's get on with the Football Manager viewers. So even in these episodes, I'm going off on weird tangents. Oh, speaking of weird tangents, actually, if you're a Patreon supporter, which you may well be watching this, it's not something I mention very often, but if you want to support on Patreon, optional. If you want to, you don't have to. I've done a new blog post recently where I go in a little bit more in depth about things going on in my life, with the fact I'm going to be a dad and how YouTube's gone recently. So, yeah, feel free. If you're a Patreon, make sure you have a read of it. Please do. And you can help me out with my new series as well, coming soon, Doc's Orders. What does that mean, Ben? Well, read the blog. Okay, Leipzig versus Schalke. Here we go then. Let's take a look at their team. I think over the course of it, Schalke had got the best of Leipzig, so we might going to have to be at our best for this one. There's been another day, actually. Is Victor Hugo fit? Oh, that's tempting now. Well, he's definitely going to be on the bench for Kaufman, I think. Victor Hugo, though, is nearly back and ready, and actually sharper than I expected him to be. Okay, we're not going to start him, I don't think, because these two have had quite a nice partnership together. But yeah, the fact we can probably bring him on, especially second half, I don't want to put him in straight away, he not perform, and then not even have the option of bringing him on, or just taking him off is what we'll do. I mentioned this team. I love that I know some of the regions now. Burke up front, Christoph Burke, I guess actually, a 25-year-old German. He's one of the German internationals that's actually been pretty good for them. And again, is so well-rounded, really lovely attributes, can play a number of positions as well. When I went to Inter, I actually looked at trying to get him in at one point to play sort of a second fiddle to Diego. But yeah, Schalke wanted over 100 million and that wasn't happening. Goal scoring-wise, you can see. I think that was sort of the seasons he'd had. When I looked at him, I was like, yeah, he'd be really good at Inter. Come and play with Diego. And he was just not having it. Right, here we are then. Let's take a look. Leipzig and Schalke team talk. We'll go calm for this one, home side. We owe Schalke after last time. I always think trying to rile your players up at the start of matches is actually quite good. I think they respond pretty well to that, especially if it's fresh in the mind, especially with domestic fixtures. Doesn't really work in European times, I don't find, but domestically works pretty well. Apparently the weather's terrible. It's not the best weather for football out there today. How do you think the conditions will affect your performance? We'll adapt to the weather. I don't know what it is. Is it cold? My coat's to hand if I need it. How are you approaching the task of breaching the Bundesliga's best defence? Oh, wow, okay, we didn't know that. But something to note, of course. We'll have to find a way to expose their weaknesses. An obvious thing to say. Maffeo's 200th league appearance for the club. That's massive, actually. Delighted for him. He doesn't start here, does he? Sorry to do this straight away. I don't think he starts at Leipzig. No, bought for 25 million. He'd been around a little bit. I don't know. Did Bournemouth... No, because 2021, that's the season before, isn't it? So he would have been on loan from Stuttgart. Bournemouth bought him and then he came back to Germany. He's been here ever since. He's having his best year, actually. Comfortably his best year. If you're a right back, for me, you love life, to be honest, because I try and always get the best out of you. Here we are then. Luis Ricardo, key to everything, of course, but keep your eyes on those fullbacks. And Amarilla racing forward with it early on. He's trying to take them all on. Diallo's there front post. Oh, it was nearly in from the off as Andy Robertson, I'm keeping an eye on, got forward and is now doing his ever best to get back. And actually has kept pace there as I think it was Shelton came across. Shelton came across and defended it. I cannot do it, viewers. It's a thing now. It's massively a thing, as that was just showing that the ball didn't cross the line, as if we didn't already know. A booking for Masayuki as well. I mean, I don't know why or what he's done from a forward position. Is he pressing too hard? The Schalke corner played in. Morata gets it clear, but then Wolf plays it across, and wow, Clement with an unbelievable save. It says that the text commentary agrees. Brilliant save by Clement. Did really, really well to get across, and now we've got to defend this corner. Shape's pretty good, seems to be marking well, as header on goal is easily dealt with by Clement. It's been, so far, quite an even game. They're having more possession, though, by some distance, and we're just going to have to lower this a little bit. I mean, just so I can see the average ratings of both teams. So far, exactly the same. So the first goal is going to be everything. You can see we're quite narrow in shape in these situations, and this is nice because we can talk through it. And obviously this is a worry. The overlap over on that side, the overlap over on this side. He doesn't seem as willing to want to get forward, but that's a really good ball in behind, and we're going to have to defend it well. We don't, but he gets ahead. I mean, he's a clever player, and he's outdone us there. Shelton, for as much as we like him, those two centre-backs, it's another area where if we get a lot of money to spend next year, and I'm glad I kept the 60 million really, that's going to be an area where those two boys in the middle might have to be replaced. The back line is pretty good. I mean, that's a really, really smart finish. He's got to be tighter to him to stop that from happening. And again, we're letting the cross come in. Is that from playing slightly narrower? I mean, it says fairly wide there, but a diamond fairly wide, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you're going to play wider like this, how much impact is that going to have on that sort of situation? I don't think it's enough to have it wide the whole time. I like the idea of being compact, especially when you play like a shorter passing game. You want people to be relatively close together, right? So, not good though. I mean, again, it's one of those games you don't mind drawing it, you hate losing it. As Amarilla is so unlucky, and again, oh my word, he's had a great effort. Cleared away. Diallo tried to get to it as well. Couldn't quite get there. We've got two players on bookings. And the Victor Hugo appearance is looking more and more likely. Wow, the team are anxious, furious, all over the place. We're going to have to get them in at half-time. I might tell them to calm down. I don't know if that's going to help or not, really. They're uninterested after the feedback. When do you say calm down on this game? I really don't know when that time is. When you're 6-0 up and flying, do you tell them to calm down then? Or do you... That seemed like the perfect time is what I'm getting at. Tell them to calm down. Anyway, Schalke lead. Christoph Burke with his goal. And now we've got it all to do. I'm just looking at the results elsewhere. Neither of our challengers are playing right now. They may well be playing each other, which would be interesting. Right, show me something else in the second half. Always something that tends to work pretty well. The midfield don't care. So I'm going to say you weren't that bad, but I need a little more. And they've responded. And I'm going to make this big move early on. Victor Hugo is going to replace Masayuki. And, I mean, I feel like if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. So we have to do it. Attacking-wise, I'm going to say you weren't that bad, but you can improve. And even Victor Hugo seemed motivated from that. And he didn't even play in the first half. So he's happy. Make that change before we make the team talk as well. Always tends to work quite well. Will we be able to find a way through? Again, how much are we missing having Werner? I think, personally, massively. I think he's so important to the side. And maybe being the more athletic man on in Marco Paolo, as it's come from Robertson's side. I genuinely didn't think it was a bad acquisition when I did it. I'm now questioning just how bad it was. It was very cheap. The problem was I didn't really want to buy a starter. That was my big issue. So I'm looking around for backup left backs that I can get on a budget that I'm not really taking too much out in terms of transfer budget. And Andy Robertson just made sense because of those mentals, because of those technical attributes. I thought he wouldn't be relied upon that much. And we've had 2 injuries to Werner and he's had to play. And now you look at this, after 2 brilliant results as well, we now have this game against Schalke where, I mean, we're 20 minutes to go, and do you just go more attacking and hope for the best and demand more from the side? Schalke are flying. Schalke are playing so well. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to turn this around at this point. In terms of chance creation, it's been pretty similar. It'd be interesting to look at afterwards, actually, where our chances have come from, where our shots have been from, whether they've been long distance or not, as this game is just getting away from us. And this now is a really good example of what changes to make. So, of course, ideally, with a 2-0 deficit right now, with 8 minutes to go, you want to be able to bring someone on who's going to change the game. Pedroca, it just isn't as good as Kabay. So it's that thing, isn't it, of do you get Kabay off just to change things, or do you keep your quality out there And deeper into the midfield, a player like Dumbia, he's hard working, he's good at that aspect of the game, but is he creative enough to make something happen? Not necessarily. And that's kind of what I'm realising, they're the sort of players that we're missing at the moment, especially without Friss at the moment, without Werner. Like, they're two very pivotal parts to this side. Like, Amarilla and him have a really good relationship, and equally Amarilla and Werner have really good relationships on that left-hand side. So, continue your frustration. I'm going to make the Pedroca change, although I don't necessarily think it's the right thing to do all the time. We've not seen enough out of Kabaya, who has another game, 6.6, gets benched. Like, I don't know, is he just one of these luxury players, viewers? Who knows? Now, if we bring this back, this would be fantastic. Diallo across to Victor Hugo somehow hasn't gone in. I feel like it maybe should have done as the time continues to tick away. We're going to have to score now and give ourselves a brief moment of hope as from that right-hand side. Is it going to come all the way across over here? We've got space on either flank because Marcos Paulo makes me think, I don't know, just from seeing that instance where he's just a little bit quicker to the ball, maybe we should have played him from the start. I don't know. You live by the sword, you die by the Andy Robertson, don't you? That's what the phrase goes. As Maffeo, can he put it back across? He can. Well, I mean, if he'd have scored, I'd have felt even worse. 2 minutes of added time. It looks like it's going to go by. And in a way, it's been a learning experience. And not just for me, I feel like you've also seen just how much of an impact. You saw it in the games that we played previously. Those fullbacks have. And yeah, we've been undone. Interestingly, they've just played quite poorly. It's quite similar, actually, to when we played Borussia Dortmund. I'm going to say I'm far from pleased because I think you've got to play better than that against a rival, especially going for what we're going for. It's very similar to the Borussia Dortmund game in that our chance creation has been there, but it's just not remotely effective enough to actually get a result. If you look at this game here, 1-0, it seems really, really similar. In fact, you look at it there, though, Dortmund actually had way more, but we had more possession in that game, and they scored 1 goal, and then the game was pretty dead after that. And this one, like, do you remember us having a natural highlight other than that one right at the end? I don't think we did, right? So I'm just going to check it. In terms of... I mean, I'm not bothered about shots so much. I mean, that's where they're shot at, which I'm not so bothered about. Where they're from, that's what I care about. Teams, isn't it? Teams and shots. So I'm just going to be interested to see where they're coming from. So you look at that, on chance creation, I mean, these ones that are off target, that are so close, the yellow lines, like, just confusing to me how we're not getting more shots on target, and a couple that were saved as well from pretty close range. On another day, I dare say we win the game. You look at where Schalke's opportunities have come from. They've scored 2 goals. If you looked at both of those, if you put both up, who do you think is going to win the game more often than not? I dare say it's us. So are we slightly unlucky there? And is the system still working as I expect it to? Yeah, but this is the X factor. I come back to him, and I know we had sort of a bit of a falling out earlier in the season. This is my main problem. Are we getting enough out of Xavier Kabay? And if not, why not? And I'm interested to know what you think in the comment section. Maybe a change of role might be the ticket. Maybe bring in our deeper midfielder slightly further forward to support him. Are we asking him to do too much? No, we're not. Look at these 3 seasons. We can't be. Those 3 seasons to me say that he should be ready for this and he should have hit the ground running. He performed in 2 divisions now, and this year, just not getting enough. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, comment section. Get involved. If you enjoyed today's video, of course, please do leave a like on it if you enjoy this talk through style of things. And let's just hope that he doesn't get injured again for a long period, although those 7 days to 3 weeks, he's going to miss the next 3 games, and I think I already know that Marcos Paulo is going to be playing instead. Again, if you enjoyed it, drop a like, want to see some more, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on Monday for a whole run of episodes. There won't be an episode later on today. This is the only episode, and yeah, I'll see you all week for some more Glory Hunter. It's good fun. I love it. We love it with care. If you want to spend just the next time, goodbye. This isn't even an episode, so this is just extra chat.